Pelosi, let's talk about that next bill that you referred to, whenever it may come. What sorts of things are you looking at? For example, I've talked to some people on the Hill who say this is a time for infrastructure. That may be part of the recovery you refer to. Are you starting to think about what sorts of things would help with that recovery?
Well, we still have a little bit of unfinished business from the two previous bills. For example, in the first bill, we said testing, 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 free testing for everyone. And then next bill, masks, masks, masks to facilitate that. However, what we want to do, and has not been provided for yet in the two bills, is to make sure that the funds that are required to cover the cost of testing. It's not just the test, it's the doctor visit and the rest, and we don't want anyone to be getting a high deductible because they were responsible in responding to the requirement that they be tested for those who are required to be tested. In addition to that, family and medical leave is not as inclusive as it needs to be to cover the needs of America's working families. In terms of what we do want to see more direct payments, we had much higher direct payments in both our House bill, and we would hope to see that we can do that again because that is really very necessary. Another thing, there's just some other things that relate to pensions. We had a pension provision in the bill that President Trump supported, but Senator McConnell wouldn't do and said we'll do it in the next bill because the pension security of America's working families is essential to the strength of our economy, and now with the siege of the coronavirus even more so. Then there's one that is very particular to the District of Columbia. For some reason, the Republicans in the Senate decided that they would not treat the district as a state, as has always been in the distribution of resources, but treat them as a territory. And it is at the great disadvantage of the District of Columbia and a cause of great concern for the members of Congress, House, and Senate from this region, to name a few. But again, to move on to the infrastructure, we're all ready, and again, that has never been partisan. That has always been a bipartisan initiative about the infrastructure of America. It's a public health issue for clean air, clean water. It's a commercial, it's a business issue. It's an economic issue to move commerce and grow jobs and all the rest, and the list goes on. You know how important it is.
So maybe some infrastructure coming up?
Well, I would hope so. Our next bill may be just a very important piece that I didn't mention is state and local government is going to need much, much more infusion of cash. They're just not going to be able to meet the needs. My state of California had a big surplus, but we're spending it off. Our governor, Gavin Newsom, is spectacular and very, shall we say, careful in spending. But again, this is a challenge beyond anything we've ever seen before. Same thing with Governor Cuomo in New York, but other states as well. This is like, as I say, something we haven't seen before, so we have to be prepared. I would hope that some of that funding could come from the Fed in expanded lending opportunities, and we did allow for that in the legislation that was passed last night in the Senate, and that we will pass enthusiastically in a bipartisan way on Friday morning after giving 24 hours notice to our members to show up in Washington.